What a beautiful time of the year. If you don't think it's beautiful, just look at Nate Taylor's backdrop. Yeah, he's got a palm tree back there because he's at the NFL owners meetings. Nate, how beautiful is the weather there? Where are you exactly? Again, I see palm trees.
Why, yes, Josh. I am in lovely Orlando, Florida, looking at a pool, a plethora of palm trees, sunny skies, cool breezes. We're just perhaps an hour or two away from a nice, lovely cocktail.
Oh,
So,
that looks beautiful. He's got a polo button down, letting everything breathe out there. Seth,
yes, Lord.
Your backdrop is still, I think, the cinder block walls of your legal office, but you got a window back there. It's very bright. It looks like almost white outside your window.
That is because this is what it looks like outside my window because it snowed 10 inches.
It snowed how much?
Seth, it's so warm
10
I
inches.
can't really see what you showed us. It's so warm I can't see it. Can you?
It showed the end of our friendship, Nate.
Can you show it again? I couldn't. It's so warm. I couldn't.
See it. No. I'm sure it was just very difficult for you to take a look.
Trees don't have like the green sort
It's
of.
really
palm
grainy.
thing on top.
Is that an old school photo? Old timey photo?
It represents what happens to the soul of every human that inhabits northern to central Minnesota in March when you have the most wonderful winter that you've ever had. And then you're to the end of March and you've made it. And then it's like, hey, why is the low 5? And what is all that moisture?
Seth is in the saddest possible Norman Rockwell painting, and Nate Taylor is in the land of football cocaine and just regular cocaine. Welcome to Only Weird Games.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
I bet Seth Keysor's given the weather guy an F- on his report card. Again, Nate Taylor, live from Orlando at the NFL owners meetings. I'm Joshua Brisco. Just having a good time here hanging out. We'll talk about, what happened immediately. Not quite immediately, but the day after our last episode when the Kansas City Chiefs did trade L'Jarius Sneed, plus what Nate's been working on down there in Orlando. Seth has been taking a look at that lad McConkey, and let me tell you what, that McConkey can scoot. We'll do a little bit of mixing and matching all the things that you come to accept. Accept is actually what I wanted to say. I don't know what you can expect from this show, but maybe there are things you're willing to accept. Other than the cold, Seth, you're doing generally all right?
You know what? Life is good. I can't complain. We're 2 receivers into the Know Your Draft Crush series. And I've got takes on both of them. Although I do think I'm going to get myself in trouble with a certain subset today with my Lad McConkey takes because, similarly to how the protagonist of the film in which Lad McConkey is the villain who's got an internship waiting for him in Wall Street while he's the president of a fraternity because he's his father was president of the fraternity. His father was the president of the fraternity. Real skull and bone stuff. He's dating the girl that the protagonist likes, but she doesn't really love him. She just met him when she was a freshman and just was never willing to walk away because his family's connected. Beyond all that,
obviously.
Yes, very obviously. I have some thoughts on Lad McConkey that the people that love him from KC might not particularly enjoy. But other than that, I'm good. And I'm looking at Xavier Worthy next preview. He real fast, like on film. Like I went from watching, Adonai Mitchell and Lad McConkey, both of whom are fast guys. And I watched Xavier Worthy. I was like, holy cow, he's fast. And so life is good. I'm just watching some film, trying to figure out why I still live here, the usual. If I were to show you, so I showed you the first picture in my phone, which was a picture that I took of the of the outside. Here's the next picture, because this is what I sent to my wife. I have to put my mic down here. The next picture on my phone is, I don't know if you can see that. It says
not a pixel.
It says flights to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And then it's a VRBO in Marco Island, Florida. And it's one that's available this weekend for only $300 a night, guys. And she said no. Apparently we're hosting. Apparently there's some holiday this weekend.
Well, I had to
About
think
a bunny.
For a second to figure out what it was.
About a
the
bunny.
one.
And so, anyway.
Seth, 1 year, actually 2 years ago, at the owners' meetings in West Palm Beach, Florida, there were bunnies available to be petted at the reception for anyone who was in attendance at the meetings. Did I pet the bunnies? Yes, I did. Was it in honor of our Lord? Of course it was.
Sure. Well, like
the
it
last
says.
time was that Clark Hunt touched an animal. Not food.
I did not see him touch a bunny that night, Josh. Yes.
They had the dog that pooped on the field, right? I guess theoretically that. When's the last time you think Clark Hunt touched a non-dog animal? Not food.
Your Honor, I don't have any answers.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'd pet a bunny.
Oh, the bunny experience was incredible. Lindsey Jones found them. There were also goats. So insert your
Patrick Mahomes was there?
Insert your joke immediately. Yes, he was, I guess. But the goats were mostly docile. But the bunnies were very energetic. It made the kids year, and it made my week. And you could hear I'm sorry, Seth, you could hear the whoosh of the waves crashing up against the big rocks right next to the beach where bunnies were being petted, and Robert Kraft is over there, and that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Robert Kraft is over there. Would you like to know where Arthur Blank is? He's this way. And the guy with the mustache, yeah, he's moving. He's somewhere around here. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Knock yourself out.
Petting these bunnies.
But I'm, I'll get to the job, but I need to enjoy bunnies. So yes, in honor of bunnies everywhere, chocolate and otherwise, happy early Easter.
I want to enjoy chocolate and otherwise because I've been thinking only about sort of real bunnies throughout this process, and that was jarring as I was pulling up because it was hard for me to remember. What
kind of bunnies are you thinking of, Josh?
I was just petting bunnies in my head this whole time. I was thinking about little bunnies, and I know all of a sudden we're talking about chocolate bunnies showing up. Like, I wasn't thinking eating the bunnies. Yeah. I was just thinking about petting bunnies.
What are those yellow things that they say are bunnies, yet they do not deserve to be put in the same category?
Peeps?
As actual bunnies.
Nate doesn't like peeps. Nate doesn't
fucking hate them. Sorry.
Whoa. Jeepers. Sorry, Jazz. I tried telling them.
Did she not know the word? Is she listening now? Can you get home first? Be like, hey, honey, don't listen yet. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna edit your specific.
She's actually been watching us live lately because she's such a good wife.
And thank you
she tells me, I think she watches just enough. And it's like she thinks I don't know this trick. She watches just enough to be able to be like, oh, how about that time Nate made a dolphin noise, And I'm like, well, that could have been,
right, obviously.
And then I'm like, thanks for watching, hon. And she's like, of course. So I just realized I've been bamboozled. Like as I started talking, I realized, oh no, I'm just dumb. But
So, do you apologize to your wife's fragile ears every time you both hear a curse word, or just when Nate does it?
It's mostly when I do it because it is for effect, and I know exactly when it's coming, and no one else does, and that's the beauty of the brand that I have apparently built. I do want to give a lovely shout out to Mama Brisco. Hopefully, she enjoys that. Josh, what she is trying to convince me to go 2 hours west, ma'am. I would love to do that. There is something that I also have to do that is a little more than 2 hours south. And if you can find out what that is, knock yourself out. At some point I'm going to see the beach that you are describing, Mama Brisco. But there's something going on down south that I hope I can get to tomorrow.
Seth, she's also giving you advice on that Verbo booking.
It's a steal, an absolute
she says it's a steal.
$300
a night. So It sounds like maybe Thursday it's just gonna be me with Seth live from Florida. That might be Thursday.
Well, and plus obviously and shout out to Ms. Brisco. I appreciate the invitation. I think you're drastically underestimating the size of my children because they are now 18, 16, almost 13, 10 and 7.
You're sitting on the water right now. Oh my God. How do you guys do any work in this
I'm gonna legit get upset.
State? How do you guys do any work in this state? I mean, I know how alcohol, but also, how do you guys do any work in this state?
How do you get anything done when you're walking distance from the Gulf Coast? Just this beautiful turquoise water, and you could just walk on it. I am seething with jealousy right now.
Josh, who is the new head coach of your Carolina Panthers?
Tampa Bay.
I think his
Baker
last name
Mayfield.
his name is Canales, and ladies and gentlemen, there's not a hotter coach on the market right now.
Oh man, he's a round one talent.
I'm gonna break protocol. I saw this man poolside without his shirt off, and my God. So this is where we are, guys. Dave Canales voted, I believe, for the kickoff rule. Who knows? Who cares? They passed it, and then he went and got into swimwear.
Doing it right in Florida.
Who's the actor from Arrow, Seth?
Oh, Stephen Emil or whatever. Emil. Yeah. I don't know how to say his last name.
We found Nate's Arrow. He's coaching the Panthers. He's coaching a 5'8" quarterback.
Some could say he walked in the room and won the job.
You know the Panthers tagline, Nate?
Yes, I do.
What's on the side of their hat?
What's that?
Keep pounding. Let's talk about L'Jarius Sneed. The Chiefs did, in fact, trade the star corner for a 7th-round pick swap between the Chiefs and Titans in 2023 is chronologically the first impact they'll get from this deal on the 24. Thank you. Thank you, Seth. Sorry.
That was trying to be helpful.
No,
oh my goodness.
Trade went,
the persecution continues.
Whoa. Your persecution complex needs to grow up, I think. I was appreciating your correction. Genuinely saying, I'm sorry. I got it wrong. But in the way this deal worked, it would actually be better if each year had just gotten accidentally pushed 1 year down the road or 1 year back in time. You can keep your 7th-round pick swap if I can have my 3rd-round pick now, please. But that's not happening. 7th-round pick swap coming up in April, and then a 3rd-round pick from the Tennessee Titans in 2025. Not a typo, not a misspeak. That's what the Chiefs get for L'Jarius Sneed. He has now reportedly agreed to terms on his deal. We can bring that in when we talk about why the Chiefs end up making this move. Nate, you and I jumped on the KCSN breaking news team on freaking 10:30 on a Friday night because the Chiefs only do weird things at only weird times.
Yep.
And that's when the move immediately comes out. They now have about $20 million in cap space that were not there when they had to account for Sneed's tag on the deal.
Text me the deets, Carol. You're going now? All right, I'll be there.
What'd you call Dave Canales?
Yes, ma'am. I'm on a podcast. You want to say hello? You want to say hello to the fans?
All right. We're back in
This
is
guest Taylor Swift correspondent,
yes,
Charlotte Carroll of The Athletic.
Hi, how's it going?
Thank you for being here.
It's great.
Can you ask what does she think of the paparazzi pictures of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce?
What? Yeah, we didn't talk about this last time, but what are your thoughts and your feelings about the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce paparazzi photos?
Love them.
Who doesn't?
But to be fair, invasion of privacy, so I don't like that
Definitely.
for them.
That's true.
Hand on the tush, yes or no?
Oh,
No
hand on
comment.
the tush?
Oh, Miss Carol. How about that?
What did she say?
She said no comment.
No.
Of course it's fine. You can do whatever you want, Charlotte.
It
Yes,
it
please.
Definitely is an invasion
I'll
of
see it.
privacy. I think that's a good thing to know.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
But Nate's got Florida plans. God, Florida Nate is such a good vibe, man. Radio Road Nate was really touch and go. Florida Nate, an incredible hang. I'm glad that you're in a better space now.
Well, I gotta be honest, guys. When you come here after the combine and free agency, and of course, obviously the way the season goes. UD Vegas, Nate. Thank you, Derek. Look, man, there's a lot of stimulation going on in Vegas. Okay, whereas here, it's a little bit more relaxed, more chill. I think the league actually, I will give the league credit on this. They said, look, guys, we're going to get to work on Sunday, which is unusual for most owner meetings, to get some movement as to where people actually feel on things when it comes to rule changes. And then we're going to actually vote Tuesday, like midday. And they did it, and they should be congratulated. Now, there was positive communication. I do get the sense that everybody loves the kickoff rule for the most part. They're going to try the hip drop tackle. They're going to try it. It's not great.
Come back and take us out of nonsense and put us in the NFL rules little blurb, so now we can acknowledge that we've done this. Thank you.
Player safety, Vegas Nate, best Nate. Thank you, Derelic. With everything going on, though, they voted. They got things done. I get the sense too that from a finance situation, the fact that they told us today, we're gonna be playing this thing in Brazil, and you're gonna have to subscribe, which is just amazing, because they know what the Philadelphia market is. I mean, they are more aligned than they have been in the last 5 years when it comes to this type of meeting, understanding where they want the business of football to move. Will it be successful? That remains to be seen. But I think most people are pretty happy, because there isn't a lot of friction or contention outside of the fact that, tackling is going to be, you try to tackle those people. But outside of that, they've mostly been a pretty good environment. And, look, man, it's not every day Charlotte Carroll, comes on the podcast and gives you her true feelings, very spur of the moment. So we now have Catherine Fitzgerald and Charlotte Carroll to thank, because what is really showing up is when I travel to certain events that can lead to certain sides of my personality, I do need a wing woman to You need
highlight, an in-house
the
audience.
To give you a proper experience. Yes, but
you need to bring in an unsuspecting guest, and it needs to be. She can't hear the questions from us.
Nope, at all.
And we can't know who it's gonna be ahead of time. And they've got to be in the frame.
Correct.
And that means Nate's doing a show from the road. It's a miracle you never got that guy from the airport restaurant to get into the shot, because that would have been special.
Right. So, L'Jarius Sneed, it's not the best trade, but they feel, wow, Tucker, that is just prime producing. Because he doesn't know where I'm going. All right, turn two. So with everything that's gone on with L'Jarius Sneed, the Chiefs, I can sort of summarize after talking to a number of people in the league, not just with the Chiefs, that like the Chiefs did right by L'Jarius Sneed through most people's eyes. There were a few teams, the Colts, and I believe you may hear more about this later, the Minnesota Vikings. Those were the three teams at the finish line. And, L'Jarius Sneed went from thinking he was a Tennessee Titan to maybe I'm a Chief to where am I going to work next year to being a Titan again. The Vikings were in the mix very late, but at the same time, the Chiefs still feel like they got a third-round pick, which is above the hope and the anticipation that maybe you could get a compensatory pick a year or two later, depending on how free agency goes. So, I mean, if Brendan Bean's upset about, this is the owner's meetings, kids. Brendan Bean's upset about compensatory picks. That's how chill it is over here. This is that's the eyebrows are. Oh, he's upset with a 4th round compensatory pick and not a 3rd round compensatory pick. Get that out there to the fans. But they got a 3rd round pick. It's in next year's draft. You can use either your 3rd round pick or the Tennessee Titans 3rd round pick to move up potentially in the first round or perhaps even the second round of the draft, depending on how the board plays out, is my understanding from how teams sort of view what having an additional third-round pick can do for you in a draft. But the Chiefs wanted L'Jarius Sneed to feel comfortable almost more than their own compensation, but they had to get to a baseline, and they accomplished that by getting a third-round pick, even if it is in a future year and not this current year.
I know that the compensatory stuff isn't one-to-one. You don't let a highly paid player walk and then immediately get a third, and that's the end of the round and everything. Anyway, I understand all of that. I could just as easily make the argument that, hey, play the compensatory game and let him walk at the beginning of free agency so you have something to buy with your $20 million of cap space. So the timing of this is interesting, Seth, because it is not tremendously better than what would have happened if they would have let him walk in terms of draft compensation, and they free up this money in late March. What was your reaction to the return and where they stand now?
I would have liked to see more in return given Sneed's level of play, but some of the things that got pointed out afterwards, and some things that I think it always goes this way. Once a player's out of town, fans are usually a little more comfortable hearing certain things. And so I'm going to say this. Last year was the first year that L'Jarius Sneed could have been said to play at an elite level as a coverage guy. I would also note that he is not and has not been for 2 years the best coverage guy on the team. That's Trent McDuffie. Was last year too. And you can talk to me about following wide receivers. He generally didn't follow them into the slot, for one thing, because Trent McDuffie was there. But also, yes, he followed around number one wide receivers, did a great job. But it's a year of that. It's not like it's 2 or 3 years in a row of that. There's also the knee stuff that has flared up from time to time. And then there's the fact that I know it's weird to say age at 27, but he's a corner. And so that becomes part of it as well. The part that someone needed to sign him to he got pretty top end corner money. And so there's all of that goes into it. I think we've really started to come to see the end of the days where, like, when Frank Clark was on the franchise tag and the Chiefs traded like a first and a third or whatever for him and gave him, I think some deals like that haven't necessarily, they've worked out in a sense, but not as well as you would have liked. I think teams have started to kind of catch on to that game a little bit.
Yes.
To where guys that are on the franchise tag, they're just not going to get as much because you already have got to pay the bank. Like, there's going to be exceptions for that. Quarterback, obviously. Maybe wide receiver, because I don't think the Eagles or the Dolphins are upset about the trades they made and gave a ton of money and a ton of picks for Brown and Hill. But I don't think the teams that traded them away are that upset either. Well, maybe the Titans are. But that's for entirely different reasons. Like, the Titans had the Lincoln Logs. They just failed to build the cabin. Like,
I know who's upset. He doesn't work there anymore as the head coach.
Yep. So the big thing I would say with Sneed is his value was never going to be more than it was this offseason. I can understand the idea of letting him walk. And maybe even like as free agency approaches and you just, okay, we're not going to get this done, maybe then letting him go. I do think the compensatory pick formula, because it just goes into the formula and it's a year delayed, I would put it, so it's next year's third. It would have been that year, but it would have been the third in the formula, maybe. But
right.
Maybe if you sign guys, then maybe it's like a seventh. So I've always said that maybe it's like the equivalent of a 5th round pick. So there's more value there in a fair amount because the 3rd round is kind of like the last round that's considered like the prime rounds. You know what I mean?
Top 100 picks, yes.
So I'm not thrilled about it, but I do understand why they did it, especially when you really start to look at the team top to bottom right now. You look at the guys they have in the cornerback room. I can understand why they didn't want to spend $20 million on a guy this year. And I would just say, if they want to spend the money, there are, in my opinion, such obvious moves they could make, like today, to have their entire roster shored up in a way that I'd be really comfortable with heading into the draft. So much so that I wrote about it like, hey, if they trade Sneed, here are 3 things I'd do, and then I'd feel great about where they are. and we'll see if they do it. So, but you didn't have the room to do that without trading Sneed. And so it really was interesting. Sneed's value within their scheme is higher than anywhere else, but because of the layout of the team and the specific salary cap / cash considerations this year, he's not as valuable as you would think a high-level corner would be. Especially, I'm curious what happens. I was told that there's some speculation they might have Trent McDuffie follow guys around a little more. We'll see what they decide to do. My thought on that would be keep McDuffie doing what he's doing because he's an elite slot corner and he plays. By the way, everyone, Trent McDuffie is also a boundary corner. He plays 100% of the snaps. He is on the boundary when there's 2 corners. Then when there's 3 corners, then he plays slot. Watson and Josh Williams are not slot corners. They don't have the change of direction. Really good boundary guys, though. Like, well, not great, not elite, but they've gotten better every year. Josh Williams was good last year. He actually kind of jumped Watson, but Watson was playing hurt all of last year. Anyway, that's how I would handle it. Let those guys be the boundary guys. Let them fight it out for who the starter is. And you still got 3 corners that you really like. And let's see if Nazia Johnson can keep pressing in. There's a plan there. So it's a long road to a short thought that the cap space this year is weirdly maybe more valuable than Sneed himself if you assume that he maybe wouldn't have quite replicated his success from last year, which maybe he would have been just as good.
If we're talking about it just for 2024, do you think that's likely? Like, would that have been the message of, you still got Trent McDuffie, but you expect a backslide from L'Jarius Sneed? Because the long view of it, I don't really think there's anything to really argue about in terms of the guaranteed money and the knee issues and all the things that you've laid out. But I wasn't thinking that 2024 was going to be L'Jarius Sneed's fall off in this Chiefs defense. Who knows what happens in Tennessee? But my dismount on Friday was that it is a disappointing return for a tremendous player and a tremendous success story. They essentially took a corner in the 4th round, and then at the end of his rookie contract, traded him for a 4th round pick, just like snoozing it by going down a round by it being a year later in terms of value.
Snoozing it, I like that.
That's not a win. That's not a big picture, quote unquote, like off-season win, and it's not a practical win. They had everything in the L'Jarius Sneed story is success on success on success. And part of the reason that I thought the trade now made a lot of sense was so you can get another rookie contract on your books to fill out some of that depth, not just for this year, but for the long haul. Now, that draft pick is either going to get used in a trade up, or maybe you'll see that guy in 2025. But the immediate impact here is freeing up $20 million of cap space, which they elected to put on their cap with no intentions of ever paying that guy that money. They still restructured Mahomes' money. If you're worried about Mike Dana, like there were other little maneuvering items you could have, not a ton, but there were some maneuvering choices you could have made, maybe involving Justin Reed's contract or a few other options you'd have there. This to me feels a little bit like the Chiefs were holding on for like a month and then got to this point and went, fine. And that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
I don't think Brett Veach is tickled by this. I think this is, yes, kind of what we needed to do. Fine. That's how I feel. It's fine.
Right. And again, it's better for Steve for this to be concluded as well.
Absolutely.
It's better for him to have guaranteed money that he can sign.
The best thing for him would have been to be a free agent at the beginning of the period. I'm not saying I would have rescinded the tag, just to be clear. I don't want to make it seem like I'm kind of playing devil's advocate over there a little bit. But like the best thing to do by L'Jarius Sneed is let him hit the open market and see what happens when teams can just pay him there.
I guess, for him, yes. For the Chiefs.
Just for him. No, just for Sneed. Just on the idea of doing right by him and it being the best thing for him.
Right, which is the Travarius Ward.
Also,
route.
4 years, $76.4 million, $55 million guaranteed per Ian Rappaport. I haven't seen any other terms on the guarantees, but $20 million signing bonus. To your point last episode, Nate, L'Jarius Sneed, I don't know if it's done today or if it'll be tomorrow. L'Jarius Sneed's getting his franchise tag in March.
Today.
His franchise tag
tomorrow.
salary he will get in his bank account tomorrow. That's huge for L'Jarius Sneed, and everyone should be happy for the 4th round pick to get that payday.
And again, the Chiefs did him a solid because by putting the franchise tag on him, you put a baseline as to what to expect if he arrives in your town to play for your team in terms of compensation. And obviously he wanted to have the faith and the trust of whatever that organization was going to be, to honor that essentially. So there's many ways to look at this, right? It's time for the Chiefs to get ready for the draft, and it's time for them to sort of respond and use the draft and free agency almost correspondingly. That's essentially what I wrote for The Athletic today that'll, I believe, come out tomorrow morning. But also, too, L'Jarius Sneed passed his physical. You mentioned the contract numbers, Joshua. I appreciate that. We think the deal will be signed either Wednesday or Thursday, and then L'Jarius Sneed is suspected, one would assume, to have an introductory news conference in Nashville as part of the Tennessee Titans. Now, you can agree to something if you're the Chiefs, but you can't really get that money until obviously the deal is finalized and the contract has been in place. So you can maybe see that project tomorrow, Wednesday, but the Chiefs are not in a rush to make a move just because they traded L'Jarius Sneed. It's now you have more avenues because you have obviously more money at your disposal to utilize however you see fit.
And I do have one take on 2024. I think because of, and to go back to the specific roster construction of the Chiefs, the fact that they already have an elite corner, the fact that they have two other solid corners that they trust, who are also similar to Sneed in some respects, although neither of them's the blitzer that Sneed is. Both of them are built. You're just like, oh man, we lost a really good press man boundary corner. Josh Williams and Jalen Watson are built for that. And they are basically, their assignment is going to be assault next year. And Spags is going to see, and that's something that happens not just for Sneed, but for a defense. If it gets a reputation as an elite defense, you get away with a little more.
Right.
And so we'll see how that goes. Williams made a big jump from year one to year two. Watson was just as good in year two while injured. That's a big deal. And so we'll see with that. And because of that, I think there's a chance that even for purposes of 2024, that a competent third wide receiver and a competent defensive end might actually move the needle more for 2024 than L'Jarius Sneed, despite Sneed being better in a vacuum. When you look at team build as a whole, I think there's a chance, now it's a chance, right, that again, a third wide receiver, if that's a route they're going to go, like a Josh Reynolds even, or a DJ Chark, who on paper, not remotely the impact player Sneed is. Bringing Mike Dana back, he's not remotely the player that Sneed is, but because of the current roster build, I could see that being as impactful and them saying, okay, this is maybe what it helps us long-term, and in short-term, it's actually maybe in terms of the sum of the parts is better. Do I agree with that? I've been back and forth on that so many times. Once I really started breaking down what I'd do if he were traded versus keeping him initially, which is what I wanted to do, just extend him, I went back and forth, and you could talk me into either one, and I'm sure you will in the next 30 seconds because I genuinely don't know.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, L'Jarius Sneed has reportedly passed his physical today. He can sign his contract if he wants, or if everything is ironed out, as early as Wednesday. And of course, he could be at a podium doing his introductory news press conference either Wednesday afternoon or Thursday. So yes, the Chiefs are very happy for L'Jarius Sneed, very happy, despite him not being in their plans for 2024. These are two truths, kids. Two very true statements I just said. They are happy for L'Jarius Sneed wholeheartedly, and he wholeheartedly was not a part of their 2024 plan. Sorry, Seth.
I think that was made evident by this move. Last question for you, Seth. If Dave Merritt's the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, where's L'Jarius Sneed right now?
I don't think there's any chance that L'Jarius Sneed.
Are you doing the break? Hey, listen, if we need to time out. Everybody, let's pause the show. Tucker, don't hit anything. Let's pause the show. Hey, Seth. If you can't answer questions for me anymore because you're worried about the break thing, maybe the break thing should take a pause. Maybe we should declare a truce for a little while.
It's only for this a truce. A truce would imply some kind of
Trust?
victory or something on my part.
Well, it's
this
that
isn't
you're
a truce,
holding-
it's a ceasefire on your end.
No, it's that you're holding the show hostage. So you do have something that I want, which is for the show to be good.
I
Let's
do
take a break.
think no.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
Explain
I can tell you
this.
didn't have anything. It's fine. We just have to
Yeah.
keep it moving. Let's talk about Clark Hunt. I think I get a D- for that break switch there.
No. I
And,
think it's a second serve that's still effective. It still went right into the net for Seth. He can't return your serve of breakage.
It wasn't my best work, but it's work to get us over there. So if people haven't read it yet, you and Caitlin Kaler, I believe. Yes, I nailed it. We had her
Caitlin
on
Kaler, yes,
on the radio
mhm.
show a few weeks ago. She was great.
She is.
Several weeks ago, 2 months ago. I don't know. It's been a minute. But you and Kaylin, I'm sorry, I put a T in there. You and Kaylin did
yes.
a story following up on some of the report cards and the bubbling effects of Clark Hunt getting an F- in terms of willingness to upgrade and invest in the team. You guys got quotes from Willie Gay that was interesting because he's obviously now a former Chief, but just barely.
Yep, that was critical to the story, in my opinion.
It was really, really, really good. And then you also heard from Clark Hunt and Andy Reid. Again, that's all up in The Athletic right now if you want all of the details. What's the important stuff for people to note there, Nate, in your view?
Clark Hunt basically said that the Players Association lied on its own report of his ownership. Of course, if you don't remember, I will try to bring you along pretty quick. The survey that has been done the last 2 years now is players can vote, or grade, I should say, anonymously, how they feel about their work conditions, their work environment, how they feel about an owner's willingness to invest into the facilities, the workplace environment, to improve, the team's ability to be a well-run organization before, obviously, they ever play a game on Thursday night, Sunday, Monday. The Chiefs came 31st out of 32 teams. Andy Reid acknowledged yesterday they need a bigger training room. He kind of alluded to the idea that, sure, we could use more trainers. Clark Hunt has said repeatedly he puts a lot of his resources to building and retaining high-level coaching. The coaching staff has obviously helped the team win Super Bowls. The team needs a new cafeteria. The team needs other details, and Clark Hunt has taken longer than players anticipated or were told by management were going to occur. So the biggest schism in the report through the Players Association is that players felt like they were essentially promised by management, which I thought was an interesting word choice, because me and Caitlin really worked to figure out what does that mean. Is management solely, it didn't say ownership, it said management. So
also, Clark Hunt doesn't have to do these renovations with his own bare hands, which I just feel like should be included in this discussion.
Yep, he does not have to do anything himself physically. Yes, that there is that. So the players, I guess a number of them, said that they felt like they were going to get a new locker room to better help them train and be better prepared, have more space for, obviously, practice and the eventual games. Clark Hunt said that promise was never made to players, whether through him or through anyone in management. So I don't think the Players Association was tickled that Clark Hunt, on the record, said that the association lied in its own anonymous player-driven survey. And the Players Association yesterday was in a bit of a bind because obviously we reached out to them. We made several attempts. The Players Association essentially came to the point of providing us a detail that had never been released before in either one of its two reports, which is the actual number of players who actually participated in the survey. They like to give a range of about 70 or so players can vote, because obviously it includes practice squad guys as well, depending on when they were on the roster at the time of the survey being available to them. Of 70 possible guys, 43 voted.
47.
47, excuse me. God, there's so many numbers.
That's okay.
47.
That's what I got over here for.
Thank you. 47 voted in the statement that the PA gave us. Now, they didn't give us any more details, but those are the numbers after looking into it themselves to verify, yes, this is how many players voted. It both hopefully helps the audience and the reader understand that, like, this isn't just 20 players. Well, it's twice. It's more than twice of that, right? It's not just 25 players, it's 47. Obviously, on game day, there's only 47 guys in uniform, usually, based on the active roster and who's inactive. So it's pretty significant. They stand by their reporting, which is hilarious to say about the Players Association stands by its own reporting. But Clark said that they are going to make changes to their facility ahead of next season, which I thought was very telling. And then it was my job to get as much reporting possible as to why now and what is that change going to be. And there's an anecdote that Josh is going to tell you, because I don't want to do it. I've already done it. And you can, I think it's fascinating because you can look at it from a number of different viewpoints. That was our intentionality and our reasons for leading the story with this. But this anecdote, this reasoning, in light of Clark Hunt being the worst graded owner in the league by his own players based on his lack of willingness to invest in the team's facilities, led to a moment that is, I think, going to be memorable, and it is especially interesting in the coming days of Tuesday's vote for whether or not Arrowhead Stadium will continue for another 25 years, or if the residents of Jackson County are going to say no to the Hunt family for essentially the second time since the team arrived in 1963.
I'm not sure if this is the anecdote that you were circling here, but it's certainly the one that I had circled. It's also where 43 comes from. 43% of the players who participated in the survey said they got adequate one-on-one treatment time. I got all the work I needed, Gay said. I have heard guys say they won't let me get treatment. They told me, get on the list. That, to me, that has been my through line throughout all of this. I read this story this morning, and then I don't remember what the order of everything else was, Nate. So if there's another part you'd like me to read, I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, we can do the next one next, but I just wanted to get your view of of the anecdote that jumps out to you most.
That's the one to me that's just untenable. There are plenty of things throughout all of this. There are plenty of spots that I read this and rolled my eyes of, like, Patrick Mahomes is the reason there's air conditioning now. Is
that your conclusion?
It was my conclusion of that.
Okay.
Of either Patrick Mahomes or Mark Donovan, perhaps. But you cannot have a professional football team that doesn't have enough one-on-one time for injury prevention and recovery. That seems like the most flatly, absolutely wild. The sort of disagreement on where Hunt is coming from on some of this, I will largely shrug at. Willie Gay did say the facility is falling apart, and also that they were really excited when they got chairs with backs on them, maybe like a private high school team, perhaps. Getting excited about, if it's a private school, they might not have been as stingy as the Chiefs were there. So money was spent very tightly around there, Gay said of the Chiefs. When we did get something, whether it was a chair or a t-shirt, it was like, man, we got new chairs. That was a big upgrade. We enjoyed the small things that we got. That feels like high school. Not good high school football, just like the high school football that I played. That's what jumped out to me. What else did I miss, Nate?
You got to it as well. It's just Patrick Mahomes is the business of the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are the business of Patrick Mahomes. And those things are intertwined quite a bit. And when you're trying to shoot a commercial in his place of office and it is, surprisingly hot because it's August. And then a couple of days later, the team practices in an even hotter indoor facility with no ability to have air conditioning, which Andy Reid told the public that next day. This is all intertwined, and I want people to understand how important it is to give Clark the ability to get his reaction and what he wants to do from a timeline standpoint. The fact that they are obviously winning multiple Super Bowls, and I appreciate that Willie told us that, look, we're winning, so is that gonna enforce change, or is it essentially going to enforce doing what you've been doing? It's a great question. Mahomes has the longest contract in the league, guys. He's the best player in the league.
Let's keep it about 72 degrees around that man for the rest of time.
In August, and the fact that had not been handled at any point before that is interesting too. But Clark is starting to make some willingness, or starting to make decisions that leads one to believe that he is willing to enhance the workplace environment to some degree. It might not be satisfactory to the players, it might not be satisfactory to the fans, but he wanted to make it clear that not only just the first initial report card, which the Chiefs were also very close to the bottom, and it didn't involve ownership or the investments made to the facilities, but a number of teams have made improvements or are trying to make improvements since this all became more public through the Player Association, which is an interesting tactic from their standpoint. Owners, team presidents, coaches, they want more, they want less anonymity. They want more raw data to support the willingness to get owners, not just Clark Hunt. We could talk about Art Rooney. I guess on a whim today, this doesn't matter to the Chiefs, but on a whim today, Robert Kraft was like, F it, $50 million check, put my name on it. Actually, hold on. Did I just say that out loud?
What was that about?
About the new practice facility. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to cut a check. 50 mil, new facility today. Put it on my name. Did I just say that out loud? I haven't talked to our finance people at all. But I do want our players to feel better, comfortable. I do want them to give the best standardized office they could have to help them perform better on the field. Did I just say $50 million out loud? You already tweeted it? Yes, Robert, I already tweeted it. Shout out to some of my friends in New England who cover the team. But that's sort of the Chiefs are the biggest example of this just because of their status in the league and the fact that, Clark Hunt got smoked in that report. And then he looked me in my eye and said, I never promised anyone, and that it's on the players. They miscommunicated to me. And then I asked, well, who communicated to them that they were going to get something better? He didn't have a solid answer. I don't know.
Someone who probably doesn't have a job anymore.
Go ahead,
Look,
Seth.
Mid-management takes the hit when stuff like this happens. That's how it goes. And these things, I think this is the point of this to exist, right? Because most of these things, we talked about this last time when the original F- thing came out. The reality is what fans generally see is the forward-facing stuff. And like any other business, there's forward-facing stuff and then there's not forward-facing stuff. Not just business. Crud, I work for the government. Let me tell you. Well, no, let me not. Would you like to hear a story that'll terrify you, or would you like to see me hit some dingers? It just, the reality of the situation is this entire thing exists to force things to the forefront that otherwise wouldn't be at the forefront, because one of the few things that the players can do is public pressure. And so I think if it results in things that I think are just common sense, I think that's a good thing. Now, is it going to is it going to result sometimes in some of the biggest quotes are going to be from angry, disgruntled people? Exit interviews are always hilarious, and you always like the number of times I've had to meet with HR. They're like, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, I don't know. We should probably verify that one. And sometimes you're like, "Holy crap, it's true. We need to do something about this." And sometimes it's like, "I think we're okay." But in this case, when you've got verifiable things, that's a problem. And sometimes it's worth keeping in mind. Everyone always wants to, if you're at the top of an organization, and this isn't me simping for Clark Hunt because, I mean, he's got plenty of lawyers to do that for him. But here's the reality of the situation. Someone who's in charge of all this stuff has a bunch of people running around underneath him. And I've got terrible news, like any other business. Some of those people don't report to the boss what's actually going on because it might make them look bad. And oh yeah, of course. No, I went and told those players exactly it. In the meantime, you go to the players. And I'm not saying this happened. I'm saying it could happen. And it happens all the time in big organizations. Hey, you guys, the boss, he's really riding me right now. We're trying to do this. And and then go to I told those players, they're actually really happy, boss. So no, it turns out it's just no big deal. I don't know what Ed was talking about. Ed, we should probably really think about letting him go. I mean, I guess I could take his office. I mean, I don't know. This is how crap like this works behind the scenes. And I don't like thinking about it or talking about it because we don't like thinking about the fact that a football team is a huge major corporation that does involve backstabbers and liars sometimes. Now, did that happen here? Who knows? But that's why, I'm not going to immediately say, well, Clark Hunt clearly knew about literally every aspect of this. He probably didn't. He does now, though, so what he does next is a big deal. And that's what's good about this is it's public pressure. You can't claim ignorance, and we don't have to guess what things he knew and what things he didn't know. And now it's like, okay, you know that your guys didn't have air conditioning. Should you have known that before? I'd argue yes. That said, have a conversation with whoever your manager is that's in charge of this stuff. Hey, how come I didn't know the players were miserable? Oh, I don't know. I guess Ed did it. No, I fired Ed because of you. Now you're the one that's supposed to be telling me this stuff. So these things are good. Yes, angry drunken German. Great quote here, which is a weird sentence I wasn't sure I'd ever say. Plausible deniability is gone now. And that's where, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the things I care about the most? I care the most about if he can do anything that provides them with a 0.0000001% edge.
And this is what fans usually say.
That's what we care about. That's what fans care about. In terms of working conditions, I mean, I care about humans having decent working conditions.
Correct.
And, when you're playing a sport where heat exhaustion happens, air conditioning is good.
Where it's violent, yeah.
Yeah, those things matter to me. But, I mean, so hopefully this means, okay, plausible deniability is gone. Things are public. Now I have to take action. So I'm kind of happy about that.
Now, here's the trick. Here's the twist.
Whoever got Ed fired, someone's coming for him. By the way, Ed is fictitious, in case anyone's wondering.
No, look him
sure
up.
Look him up. Ed in the Chiefs organization.
Oh, yeah.
That probably was worth noting. It's a big
some poor schmuck named Ed right now.
I'm not going through the directory. No, I'm not.
Probably not gonna, but I'm gonna Google it.
I'm not gonna go through the directory.
Ed is fictitious, everyone.
So here's the twist. Not a trick. That's the wrong word. Here's the twist. There's a vote on Tuesday.
And
if you don't vote, that's on you. That's the implication I got yesterday. Hey, you want improvements? You want to see that sales tax continue to see said improvements, right? I mean, you want to see things enhance.
Nate, I checked my mail pretty
because
frequently.
of the implication.
I don't think my ring's gotten here yet.
Hey,
I don't think I've been.
Hey, Jackson County voter, you asked, will do. I'm gonna just need you to put a yes. I'm gonna need you to put that black block on the yes. Okay.
I would love a chance to give specific feedback for where I'd like that money to go. I would say not on luxury suites and field level suites. I'd say practice facilities. It would make me more likely to want to give Clark Hunt a little bit of my dollar.
See, this is the twist, Josh. I can't do that if I don't know where my office is gonna be in 2027.
Yep, exactly. Well, we can't hire until we've done the renovations. We can't do the renovations until we know who we're hiring.
I don't know where I'm gonna be working in 2040, but you know what?
As old as time.
You can vote yes on Tuesday or because of the implications, things could get a little, hairy.
And the voters could they could vote no, but they won't because of the implications.
Right?
I'm not saying nothing's going to go wrong with them. It sounds like something's going to go wrong with the voters. No.
No.
Of course,
get it,
the answer's
right?
no. The answer's no. But of course, the answer won't be no because of the implications.
Yes. And
I
look,
love the idea of Patrick Mahomes beginning his final NFL season in whatever the name, in Cairns Arrowhead Stadium up at the Legends, and you've got a 42-year-old Patrick Mahomes going out there who is bent and broken in so many ways because he's been getting training work done in a cardboard box for the last decade because they were working on building the good facilities on the Kansas side. I can't wait.
Look. The beautiful part in all of this, and I'm being serious, guys. That's also the beauty of this is that
this season was on the back of Travis Kelce, who will never
literally
play in the renovated next stadium.
Hey, is Travis Kelce getting asked to get on the list?
No, I'm sure he's in the 43%. Yeah, I'm sure he's in the 43%.
But somebody who's not named Travis Kelce might be, hey, man, you got to get here a little early to get on the list. You know what I'm saying, my guy? You know how it is. Hey, you can go home to your chiropractor, your therapist, your physical therapist, your nutritionist, your chef.
Why don't you
your
build your own
masseuse.
practice facility at home?
He's the best, guys. He's the best host doing this right now.
Maybe the voters will pay for it.
Do you not, ladies and gentlemen, this is mostly for the audio version. Ladies and gentlemen, do you not understand that Josh Brisco is the best podcast hoster doing this right now in this weird Chiefs universe? Okay.
We are all witnesses.
Cut this
Sorry.
for me if you can, Tucker. If you can just cut this from my resume, I'd really appreciate it.
My God. He's amazing at this. All I'm saying is, Kelly, I just need a live feed on Governor Kelly. 10 o'clock on Tuesday if things go a certain way. Just need a live shot. We're cutting into your local television news to show you that is Champagne Jim. Yes, I can. That is Champagne.
We got champagne in Nate's mic cord. Nate's mic cord
We're having
got
some
champagne.
technical difficulties here. It's just so loud. Laura Kelly is acting like she just won Game 7 with a perfect game. Holy smokes, they fumbled at the 1 yard line. And look, no one's catching Kansas. No one's catching Kansas. Missouri, yet again, falls at the hands of its own undoing. This is jokes, but it ain't jokes. So that practice facility could be. I mean, I could put a couple hundred, couple mil to get you guys some better food. Hey, get you more than one chef, or maybe more than two, or maybe more than one who works 6 days a week. Needless to be said, I can give you guys a better cafeteria. All right, I could throw a couple bones on an AC joint. Hey, that way we can shoot more commercials because you won't be so hot. But also, I mean, I can't pour more than that right now until I know what I need to know. You know what I'm saying? Because look, baby, if you say no, I'm gonna have to tear this thing on, and I'm not gonna blame me. My father's not gonna be upset at me.
Definitely wouldn't be
It ain't
his
gonna
fault
be about me.
if he chose to move
You.
and tear down that stadium.
So let me twist that arm one more time, and you better vote yes.
This is where we're at right now, everybody. It's a very cool culture that American sports has built. Very cool, very healthy. We are talking about tax dollars and the people who live in these cities and counties, and then the billionaires who do business in them. It's very cool. It's very cool. I have no notes. I think this is very healthy. I think we should all be very happy with the way things are going.
Hey, y'all got that gambling money yet? How your gambling going? Anybody gambling?
Can we get some more? Hey, guys, I haven't been on the internet in 2 or 3 weeks. Can we get some more gambling stuff in sports? I think it's time for sports to embrace gambling.
Hey, y'all got that gambling money? I mean, no. I ain't talking about abortions. I'm talking about gambling. Okay, I'm not talking about the third rail. Come on now, you know me. Also, where your gambling money at?
Marijuana, my lord, how what? I could? Oh my
God,
stars, I could
what?
never.
I mean,
never.
How you living? How can you live like this? You ain't got no gambling money. Ooh, them interest rates gonna go up, baby. I told you this years ago. Years.
You want to know the
Gambling in
scary
a league.
thing? This is like the 300th least efficient thing that you're taxed for. Said the government employee. Like, let me tell you something. But no, it'll be interesting. I'm very far removed from this. So if there's anyone who's listening who's like, this is like a really deeply personal issue to you, I apologize for how flippant I probably sound. It doesn't affect me to an extent. I guess because it's a sales tax. So when I go down to Kansas City several times a year, it affects me, sort of, I guess. But no, it's... The whole thing's just interesting, though. It really is. Sports and it's just so interesting.
Seth.
When sports and politics,
I don't feel anything about the school superintendent. I don't feel nothing. It don't get the same.
When sports, please vote in your local school board elections,
please,
for the love of God. But anyway, when sports and politics intersect, it's always funny to me because you have two groups that never hear the word no and operate in very different ways in terms of publicity. And you end up with really weird, it's only weird campaigns. And
do you think it's weird, Seth, that Clark Hunt doesn't seem like a guy who generally is sort of on the side of like big government, like lots of taxation going to private corporations? Like that's not the vibe you get from him?
Like all of us, I think we all have opinions and views until those opinions and views affect us specifically. So I'm going to go with the grace-filled, he's only human.
And he's a human with a lot more money than me.
Yep. And also, too...
who makes a lot of money on this thing.
Hey, guys. So, you know... I just love what we're doing here.
Taylor Swift's still around.
It's been so good. Well, you've been good to me. I've been good to you. Nothing's gonna change. I promise you, nothing's gonna change. You already doing it now, so why can't we keep it going? And oh, by the way, yeah, Frank White built it, but he also might close it, and that's ironic. He helped build the stadium and he grand closed the same franchise. What is he doing?
This quote we have here from
saying
commenter,
stay in the stadium.
I'm on the Kansas side, and if we get the Chiefs, I'm going to be so snobby about it, so you better vote yes. See, and that's local politics rule.
It'll be really weird for people to accidentally think the Chiefs are in the wrong state. That will be devastating.
Yeah, that would be
devastating. And look, I'm not saying we don't like to whittle down players to one play, but Ernest Biner knows what we talking about. Hey, man, you was there. We was there. We was going to go to the Super Bowl. Why you fumble? Like, what the hell happened? You know, somebody in that locker room that night was like, hey. Because we didn't have instant replay back then, kids. Not to the technology and the angles that we have now. What? Hey, the B gap is open, baby. What? Did you see Jesus? What happened? He put C. Moses, go. Get in there. What are you doing? Ernest.
Seth, I got good news and bad news for you, okay?
Missouri could be this decade of Missouri could be Ernest Biner. And look, that's just the way it goes sometimes if you choose to do that. By the way, I respect anybody who votes no. It's not like I'm saying you need to vote yes. I'm just trying to give you the proper context as to what might occur if you vote no. But I got no issues if you vote no. I totally understand why you would vote no. Have the Royals been concise in their messaging, Josh?
This is their third site choice. I'm still getting emails that we vote on Tuesday.
So we might vote no for that. Seth, the Chiefs told us it's going to stay
real quick. The Royals play 8. They're going to have 81 occurrences in whatever their stadium is, which is different than 8.
And they taking less seats, reducing the seats quite a bit.
Yeah, Seth, do you think you're going to ever be in the freaking
Royal Stadium?
I flyer field level rich guy suites at Arrowhead when we pay hundreds of millions of dollars for those? Or are you looking forward to enjoying the heaters on the upper deck?
I
Heaters.
think.
Hey, we don't.
well,
hey, we don't want to be we don't want to be liable or.
Oh, I thought those were true things. I think, are those not both things that aren't those both the highlights of their pitch?
We don't want to be. We don't want you to get frostbite.
Seth, you want your good news and bad news? I have good news and bad news for you if you're ready to get out of this.
I'm excited.
Bad news. You know what? Bad news, good news. Bad news.
Yeah.
We're not going to have time to get to my off-season lessons today.
Rats.
Bad
You
news.
know what? I bet they were good.
Unfreaking real.
Yeah, I'll try to come up with some new ones for Thursday.
But it happens, you know, it happens. Sometimes you just don't have time. I completely understand. We didn't have time for your topic. I understand.
And we
It's very
will
understandable.
we will not be able to talk about Lad McConkey today.
What?
But good news, Seth. Good news. Seth. Good news. I got good news. I got good news. Please don't lash out. I can't. I know you usually wait until we're off air to scream at me, and it obviously the toll it's taken on me for the last many years has begun to wear me down. But please don't do this publicly. People won't like to see that side of you.
Right.
Fine. What's the good news?
Thursday, you and me, Lad McConkey, and whatever else you do. And Xavier Worthy. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, I'll try to get that done before we're up on Thursday.
Thursday, me, Seth, Lad McConkey, Xavier Worthy, Nate's gonna be making magic happen, be fulfilling dreams in the land of dreams, and we'll be 2 days closer to figuring out if or when Clark Hunt's gonna invest in the practice facilities. So with that does it for this episode of Only Weird Games. We'll get to those on Thursday. We'll do a lot more of the Knowing Your Draft Crush series with Seth. Nate will be out getting some more sun. Nate, go enjoy some Sunshine Double and get us out of here.
You want to know who I saw last night multiple times with a drink in his hand?
Canales.
Huh?
Dave
Oh,
Canales.
Well, I mean, obviously. You know.
What about revamped Matt Eberflus? That's a good one. That's working for him. He's not getting McAdoo.
Okay.
He's not getting McAdoo in it. Eberflus is doing a good job.
No, there was a certain man of an older age, a certain man of an older age who I saw with a gleam in my eye. I said, "Oh, is that who I think that is?" Because you have to understand, people, this sport is a TV product. TV running every day. Josh, who did I see multiple times out of the corner of my eye? Very tall.
Does he have 3 rings on his 10 digits?
I think he does.
Oh no.
Think he does. Troy Aikman and I were in the same bar in the flesh. And Joe Buck was there, and I didn't need to say a single thing. Didn't need to say a single thing. It's just, hey, we already knew. We just old friends out here, baby. Drinking it up, laughing it up. And yeah, you know that I know that you know. Mm-hmm. Go on and sip on it. Sip on it. Does it taste good? Because Josh wants me to know, does it taste good? Troy, does it taste good? Does it taste excellent?
Did Buck carry him in there too?